If you've lived in Florida for any amount of time, you've probably seen, walked through, or lived next to a wetland or swamp. They're common not only all around Florida, but all over the country and the world. In fact, they're found in 6 out of 7 continents. You probably have an idea of what a wetland is, but just so we're on the same page, I want to establish a clear definition. A wetland is an area of land that is flooded periodically or year-round that has specific qualities such as hydrophytic plants, which are plants that depend on lots of water to thrive, and certain soil characteristics like high acidity. Scientists can use the 3-component definition shown here to determine if a place is a wetland or not. Wetlands are an incredible ecosystem that serve many functions, including acting as a water filtration system, mitigating flooding and tides, and acting as a home to thousands of diverse flora and fauna. But although these benefits are well documented, wetlands are disappearing. Swamps are continually being destroyed to be converted into other uses, and we are losing these services as a result. In this video, I'll report on why wetlands are disappearing, the benefits they provide that are lost as a result of this, and what we can do to help them. I will mention Florida and the United States a lot in this report, but make no mistake, this is a global issue. So first, let's discuss why wetlands are being destroyed in the first place. Well, in America, wetlands and swamps have usually been seen as a nuisance or something to deal with, especially as the population of the United States boomed in the mid to late 19th century. In 1850, the Swamplands Act passed, which essentially turned wetlands over to the states to allow them to drain and fill the swamps in order to reclaim the land and repurpose them for agriculture. This act had a huge impact on Florida as it transferred 20 million acres of land in the Everglades to the state of Florida, but it also had large effects on Michigan, Indiana, and Missouri. According to a report to Congress done by the Fish and Wildlife Service, the lower 48 states lost over 60 acres of wetland every hour between the 1780s and the 1980s. And if you just think about that for a moment, that's a lot of acres in that time period. Wetlands and swamps have often been seen as a nuisance to be fixed or repurposed into other uses. They are filled for roads to be built through, houses to be built on, and crops to be planted in the nutrient-rich soil. In some areas like Asia, there is not enough data to know just how many acres of wetlands have been lost because the area that is trying to be surveyed is it's too big. But it is known that the damage is extensive and immense throughout China, where it is estimated that they have lost 83.7% of their wetlands since 1900. Compare that to North America's 36.5%. And wetlands don't even necessarily need to be buried or drained to be destroyed. They can also be destroyed through the use of levees and improper draining. If the land around a wetland is developed or turned into a cattle grazing field or some other use, the water that once flowed through the ground or through rivers into that wetland is disturbed. And this can also come from rainfall, which is disturbed when concrete is poured all over the ground. And the wetland suffers as a result of this. The Pika Pika Swamp in New Zealand is a great example of this. The swamp itself was not directly developed or altered by humans, but as a result of the land surrounding the swamp being developed, the swamp itself suffered as a result of agricultural runoff, extensive drainage, and the introduction of invasive weeds and plants. So what are we losing when we lose wetlands? For one, we are losing all of the ecosystem services they provide. These vary based off of the wetland's location and size, but generally wetlands provide flood control and water filtration, recreational opportunities, and habitats for important native plants and animals, including threatened and endangered species. In fact, according to the EPA, more than 1/3 of the United States threatened and endangered species live exclusively in wetlands, and nearly half rely on wetlands at some point in their lives. Something that is also not discussed very much when discussing wetlands is the monetary benefits that they can provide. Though some of these are very easy to calculate, such as the total amount of revenue generated through people visiting parks, other benefits such as ecological and environmental ones can be calculated through a tricky process using a discount rate and a shadow price. A study done on the Pika Pika Swamp in New Zealand attempted to put a quantitative number on this amount of benefits provided by the swamp and a monetary value. And although the results are varied, the researchers concluded that the overall value of the swamp ranged between 5.5 million and 16.4 million, depending on the model and the discount rate used. So as you can see, wetlands are a crucial and diverse ecosystem that we have unfortunately destroyed a large portion of. The majority of this damage occurred throughout Europe and North America in 19th and 20th centuries, and although it has slowed since the 1970s, it continues to occur at a high rate in Asia and Africa as these countries develop. Everyone loses when we destroy wetlands and swamps. We lose all the important ecosystem services they provide in the areas where they are present, such as water filtration, flood mitigation, high biodiversity, habitats for endangered and threatened species, recreation, and even economic benefits. Wetland losses are a global issue that have finally started to be addressed through various forms of legislation, but the damage that we've caused is almost irreparable at this point. So what now? Well, just short of standing in front of a bulldozer, you may not be able to stop the development of a local wetland. You may see, trees being torn down in your neighborhood and think, well, there's not much you can do. But what you can do is support local parks and conservation efforts that protect swamps and provide a priceless opportunity to observe and admire these ecosystems. If people only knew the types of beautiful plants and animals and endangered species that lived here, as well as the benefits they provide to us every day, I think that maybe we could put more of an effort toward protecting them and we could start to reverse all the damage that we've done in the previous years. Here are my sources, and thank you for watching.